always willing to help somebody. You know, a friend of mine reached out to me and asked me if I could come to an organization, just to talk to the youth, you know, just to see if I can put some inspiration in their heads. And for me, it's a no-brainer because wherever I can help somebody, man, that's always been my joy and my passion. So I just love helping. I love to see people successful. I'm not envious. I love to just see people doing well. So if it means for me to have a conversation with you, I'm gonna always make sure I do that. So I'm on my way now to Job Corps over by Fordham Road in the Bronx, just to talk to the youth. It turned into like 11 kids, and it ended up being like a big extravaganza. So I'm gonna be able to talk for about an hour. They want me to talk and just talk to these kids. So that's important for me to do as well. You know, just to make sure the youth has a platform and just have somebody they can look up to that's been in the struggle, that knows how it is to have nothing and still come through. And just by the grace of God, I'm able to just still shine. So I'm just thankful. I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed, man. And everybody I'm around, I just do the same thing with. I'm always making sure that I do the right thing with my friends and just help. So that's where I'm on. You know, I'm actually pressed for time, but I'm excited just to minister and talk to other kids. So it's gonna be a great thing, man. And it's go time. It's go time. Stay tuned because there's a lot more coming.
Without further ado, let's give a big welcome to Mr. Michael Jarrett.
Blessings, blessings. Appreciate it. Hello. First, I want to give a thank you to everybody here that's coming. And just thankful to Ainike Murray for inviting me, to everybody that put this together, for the staff, Job Corps itself. My story goes without saying. I was dreading myself because I wanted to see what I really wanted to say and how I wanted to develop myself. And I remember being like you guys, you know, people started talking to me, but everybody that was talking to me, they came with suits and, you know, all that. And I said, nah, I want to be authentic. I want y'all to know that I'm just like you. You know, I'm a sneaker fanatic. I said, I love jewelry. So I wanted you to know exactly what the core is and let you know what it is. But the first thing I wanted to say is a word that I want y'all all to repeat and always remember this. And I want you to say it after me because it's going to go into your head. Failure is not an option. That's something that I developed at a young age. I don't know you guys' experience. I don't know your past, but I'm going to tell you about my past. My mother and father loved me, wanted me to go the straight road. I was very intelligent with my mind, but I came from Jamaica at about 12 years old and, you know, fell victim to the streets. I wanted money. My father was 90% blind, so I didn't do football, I didn't do baseball, I didn't do none of that because my father couldn't do it with me. So everything was like bent for me to fail because I couldn't go to sports, I couldn't do none of that stuff. So the streets became my hobby. So I started seeing the drug dealers and started seeing everybody. So I fell victim to that. I said, wow, man, they wear jewelry, they got the nice cars. And that was the motivation for me. I said, I can do that. In the process of the time, you know, I started seeing girls and saying, listen, they were like, listen, you're Jamaican, but you don't dress cool. I don't like how you dress. So I started watching like TV and watching the fashion. And I'm like, wow, this guy wears this, he wears the Gucci, he wears that, he wears this. But then when I would, you know, back then, you know, we had to look it up. Not like the internet now. I saw it cost a lot of money. Couldn't go to my parents and say, listen, I want this, I want that. So I said, yo, I'm gonna start selling drugs. So I fell victim to doing that, which didn't change me because I always had a passion of I'm gonna always make it. I said, because failure was never an option for me. So I started doing that and got into a lot of trouble. And at the time, back then it was your hands was important. So I realized, I said, yo, every time I would wrestle with somebody or whatever, I was good at it. So I started using my hands as weapons. So I would go around and if you had something, I wanted to take it from you, I was gonna fight you. But that was my life because I was good at it. So now I became the bully, if you want to call it that, but everybody wanted to talk to me because I was good with my hands. So that became like my personal life from about 13 to about maybe 16. I was literally in the streets just hustling, selling drugs, doing whatever I had to do. And then I really started getting into gangs. But see how everybody switches with one gang. Back then, I was able to be with like 3 or 4 different gangs. So the gang started uniting because I was the leader of everybody. So now it became my gang, this gang, that gang. So we all started helping each other. So the road is what I'm trying to show you is the road from the path of where I chose. I chose all these things, but in my head, I said failure was never an option. So everything I did good. I grew up it's in Westchester, Mount Vernon. So they had a cop, Garcia. I remember him to this day. I was trying to sell some drugs. They used to do parties and stuff. So I was trying to make sure that I always had drugs for the party. And he actually came and caught me. He said to me, he said, listen, I'm either going to take you to jail or you're going to start paying me. And I'm going to make sure that you stay out of jail, but I'm going to tell you when the raids is going to come and all that. So now I had a police that was looking out for me, but he thought he was doing me a favor, but I was doing him a favor because now I became more powerful because now I told every other drug dealer when the raids is going to be. So now I became like a personal image in the street. So that now became my home. I was like, listen, I got this. I moved my mother and father out of their little apartment, bought them a house. They're like, yo, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing some recreational stuff. I said, people are helping me and whatever. They have no clue what I'm doing in the show. I'm working. And everything was sweet. Everything was beautiful. I was able to talk my way out of everything, anything I had. I had cars, didn't have any license, but I was always, the music in the back. I always had these things, but I still never forgot about my stomping grounds. Of failure was never an option. So in the process of doing all of those things, I developed a love for fashion and music. And what happens is I don't know if you guys know Heavy D and the Boys. I met Heavy D at a young age, and he said to me, listen, I want to teach you how to rap. And I said, listen, man, I'm not trying to do that. I said, I want to just be where the Killers is. I want to be where the Gorillas is and where all the girls is going to be. Just let me be on your team. I said, I don't need no money. I said, I got enough money I can pay my way. And he said to me, no. He said, listen, man, you're good, and I want to develop you in rapping. I said, all right, cool. So I started rapping, and I started writing music. So I was able to write songs for Hev, but at that time, he gave me $100,000 here. What you guys think is $100,000 is really about maybe $1,000 at my time. So, but that's how much the money was meant at that time. So I used to just give him songs. And I met another guy, CL Smooth. It's Pete Rock and CL Smooth is the group. So I started rapping with them, rapping and enjoying myself. And then I said, yo, I want to be a rapper. I can be a rapper now. One day we was in the studio and there was a Bruce Lee movie, and there's a big Korean dude named Bolo that was fighting Bruce Lee at the time. They said, yo, that's who you are. That's what your name is going to be, Bolo. That's going to be your rap name. So I developed that and started having that. But at the end of the day, I would go outside and all my gangs is out there waiting for me because they weren't allowed in those areas at the time. But that was my life. I was going here, but then I was also going back to the street. So the street kept pulling me and pulling me and pulling me back and pulling me back. So every time I took one step forward, I was always still back in the street. Like, yo, I got to stay in the street. And I never wanted to give that up because that's what made me who I was. So I knew nothing else. I said, listen, I'm going to always stay in the street. I don't care what nobody say. I'm going to always be in the street. That's what it is. And when you get egotistical in your mind, you hear things, but you don't, because you're so egotistical in your mind that you're figuring, I'm grown. I can do whatever I want to do. It don't matter. Me, I had money. I had girls. I had cars. I had whatever I wanted to, but I was never happy. But for me, I was making everybody else happy. So my whole team, all my entourage was all happy. And one day that happened to me was Garcia got tired of me telling everybody when the raids was. And the cops was like, listen, why are we not able to catch these guys? What's going on? So he ended up making me go to jail. And he said, listen, it's a learning experience for you. And while I was in jail, I learned how to write music. I said, yo, I'm going to just write. And I ended up developing the craft where I don't have to write it down anymore. You hear Biggie Smalls and these guys say it. It's really true if you really, really study your craft, because I had nothing but time. I developed my body. I said, listen, I want to be bigger than everybody else. I wanted to be stronger than everybody else. I said, so that's what I'm going to start doing. And it goes back to, I would never failure is not an option. So when I started working on my body, I started saying, listen, I'm going to work out and be bigger than everybody else. I don't care about cuts. These guys want the cuts. I said, I used to beat guys up that had zillions of cuts. I said, but it's a matter of being strong. It's a matter of being passionate. So in jail, I fought everybody. So I started getting a little PC in jail. Everybody started loving me in jail. So I knew the gangs all in jail. And I said, wow, man, but this is not where I want to be. I said, I'm smarter than this. My mother never came to see me. And the friends that I had, nobody came to see me. All my commissary money started disappearing. Cats started taking my money that I had in the street. So then I realized, I said, yo, I can only bet on me. I said, I got nobody else to bet on but myself. So then the egotistical part started disappearing, where I started saying, yo, man, I got to make it. I said, I got to do something with my life. I said, I got the girls, but no girls wanted to come see me in jail. They come for the first 2-3 times, but then all of a sudden nobody wants to travel anymore. So I ended up getting into trouble, and they ended up moving me upstate, and I went to Rikers. And in Rikers, it's just a different world. It was a different breed. And everybody you're tough, and everybody can fight. Everybody thinks that they're big time and they're a fighter. But when you fight and then you hear that your sentence is longer than you have to, you realize fighting is really not an option, because the more I fought, the longer I had to stay in jail. And every time that it was close for me to come out, somebody would fight me so that I had to stay in even longer. So then I started learning how to separate myself from friends and associates, because your friends is going to tell you, nah, I don't want you to do this. An associate is going to say, yeah, let's get this so that we can both get. So I had to learn that at an early age also. So when I got to about maybe 16, 17, I came out and I started high school, and I had a passion for, I couldn't do basketball because I didn't know how to play it. I couldn't do baseball, and I knew soccer because that's where I came from. But I realized, I said, I love to just grab people. So I got on the wrestling team, and I was an ox. I was strong, so I was able to develop the craft there. And then I realized that the girls and everybody started coming to watch my games. Then the gangs started coming, then people started fighting. So then they went back to the whole process again. I'm like, I can't catch a break. I'm trying to go to school. I'm trying to do the right thing, but I'm still connected to the gangs and the gangs and the gangs. And it's something about friendship where I realized, I said, I got all these guys. I got all these gangs that I'm associated with. We got guns. We got whatever we needed. We had the drugs. We had everything. And I said, but I was never happy. And I realized, I said, I had to take time for myself. So my father came and he said to me, listen, I'm literally not seeing anymore, because before he was able to see a little bit, but he was like, listen, I'm not seeing anymore. So he said, I can't help you with nothing. He said, but I got to take care of your moms. And then my mother was a school teacher. So that was automatically why my presentation was always good, because she'd always raised me to be correct as far as my penmanship. So when I talked to people, I was always, sir, yes, no problem. And they were like, yo, you just beat this guy up. And I was bringing him up and saying, yo, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry. But I just wanted to prove to you that I can beat you, because that's just how it was. Back then it was, yo, give me $100. I'm going to go knock him out. And was my life. I was making money just doing that. Like, yo, I'm going to go knock this guy out. And that's what it was. But I want to tell y'all a little bit more about just school. In school, I realized that I was very, very intelligent. I said, wow, the stuff that I had to study for, I really didn't study. So passing a test became easy. But I didn't like that humanities, because that's where I was. I was in humanities class, and I said, this is a kid that don't know nothing. I said, but look at the grade, look at the class of where I'm at. I'm not in the regular class. I'm with these, at the time, nerds. I'm with these nerds. I'm with these people. I don't fit in here. So that's all I had. It's not until I separated and started hanging out in the market. Yeah, I was beating everybody up, fine. But I was able to meet a Korean. I was able to meet a Jew. I was able to meet a Ukraine. I was able to meet a Russian. And I started seeing how they were living. So what it did was it showed me different situations. Like I always tell people, I said, it's great to travel. You should always travel, because when you travel, you see how other people are living. When you're just caught up in a box, you're thinking that this is how life is. That's how the equation is. But when you step outside of your box, so I was able to visit the temples, put the yarmulke on, and I was able to see certain things. And it's amazing what you learn from other cultures. I didn't have any respect from their friends, so I used to talk to the kids. So the kids are going to always talk to you, so I used to always play with their kids. One thing that the kids always did was they went back to the mother and said, you see that guy, Big Mike? Oh, he's a great guy. The wife tells the husband. So now the husband embraces me and says, yo, listen, my son was talking, you should come over for dinner. And I come over for dinner and I'll play with the kids. So that was my angle of getting into the world of that I'm in now. I was able to just maneuver myself into with the child, through the wife, to the husband. And once the wife talked to the husband, it was automatic in this profession. So using all of that is, they knew nothing about me being in gangs, being locked up in jail, being by myself. They knew none of that stuff. I did it. It's nothing that you can tell me that I didn't do. You can be the toughest dude, the toughest guy that you want to be. Trust me when I tell you, I said, it's so easy to use these, so easy. It's the easiest thing in the world. Because, you know, I think people have a thing of fighting is supposed to be a skill. Yo, listen, man, I grabbed balls. I did whatever I had to do to win. So I was successful with that. I like that, brother. I like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, people think, you know, you gotta do all this moving and stuff to fight. Duke, I would stand there and say, whatever you want to do, man. And I love for you to punch me first. One of the things I never understood, and we're gonna take it back to that. What is it so important that you think you gotta hit somebody in the face first? Why is that always the first thing that people do? If you don't have the power in your structure, that's the worst thing that you can ever want to do to a person. Because you got to demolish the body first. That's just me not knowing in the street. But not to get off topic, I just wanted to say that because we're quick to want to punch somebody in the face. Oh, I did a good thing. That doesn't make or break you. Because what you need to say is, at the end of the day, what did it do for you? I want you guys to be successful. And all of you guys can be that. Because these is easy. It's easy to use these, but it comes with consequences. So you got to always remember that everything that you do has a consequence. So I always say to myself, my father could never really see. And I always said to myself, I said, if my father can see, I wonder if he saw the things that I was doing at that time, would he be proud of me? And I had to think about that and say, wow, you know what? If he was behind me, he wouldn't like the person that I became. So I had to change that, not for him, but for myself. Because I always wanted to please my parents. Some people don't have parents. Some people just have themselves. So do it for yourself. It's almost like saying, you know, I'm gonna get up and put on the same underwears that I had on yesterday. No, you wanna be clean. You wanna smell good. That's because you take pride in yourself. So once you wanna be clean, let's clean up the act. Let's clean yourself up and say, I deserve this. I deserve everything. I deserve the Benz. I deserve that. But how are you gonna get it? Okay, if your underwears are dirty, you only have one pair, that means you gotta wash it. So it takes some time. Everything is not the same way, meaning you're not gonna get it overnight. So you might have to wait for the underwears to dry before you put it back on again. But the point is, once you put it back on, you know that you're fresh. So it means everything is a waiting process. Not everything is gonna fall right into place. But if you value yourself, you'll say, you know what, I need 7 hours before I can put these back on again. But when that 7 hour come, I'm gonna be fresh to death. First, failure's not an option. And I said that before and I'll say it again. Anika has my numbers. If anybody, and use the staff. They're here for you guys. Whatever needs to be done. It might be something, you might say, I wanna design pencils. Throw the ideas out. Don't think it's something that makes no sense. Throw the ideas out because you're gonna be successful. And like I said, I'm just like each and every one of y'all. I just was able to say, yo, I'm gonna just ride another wave, a different way. So like I said, I appreciate y'all. And I'm gonna come back, actually. I told Anike that because I had some souvenirs and stuff that I wanted to give you guys, but I was pressed for time and just running around. So I'm gonna definitely come back and bless you guys with some stuff. And if anybody, Jay, we can probably use some of these guys for acting too. If anybody is looking into film and all that, or anybody has any kind of skill that might do something, we're putting together a tremendous movie, which is gonna be incredible. So that'll be something that we can probably do too, you know. But other than that, guys, I'm passionate about what I do. I've been able to just trust myself and bet on myself. But always put in your head when you wake up, failure's not an option. And you're gonna be successful. All right, my brothers?